We have rising temperatures. We have a global average already 1.5 degrees above the pre-industrialized times. We have droughts, we have floodings, we have strong weather results, we have a massive influence to our lives as well. Whether you believe in a man-made climate change or you do not, it doesn't really matter, because on the other side, the outcome is already here. It's the tech bros, the guys who are driving things at the moment, who are trying to keep people uninformed about this thing. By law and enforcement, you're not allowed to wash your car any longer, you're not allowed to water your plants anymore. And we always need to understand carbon emissions, climate crisis is something which doesn't stop at borders of countries.
Welcome to Safcurl Plus. Today on No One Talks About This, we are talking about the twin transformation blueprint, the future of ESG. So we have Mr. Rainer Karcher. He is from Munich and he is the CEO of Heartprint. So Rainer, welcome. You have spent nearly 30 years inside the IT and corporate world. IBM, Siemens, Allianz and many companies, and now you have stepped out to build Heartprint, a company whose entire thesis is something called twin transformation. So before we get into the big ideas, tell us simply what broke you inside these large organizations that made you start fresh.
First of all, thank you very much for having me. It's a real pleasure and it's an honor to be part of this. And by the way, I have to tell that title which you did choose for your podcast, this is just amazing, because there is so many things out there where people are not talking about, and we need to. And I think it's in exactly that way absolutely important to talk about the things in a positive way. So what I'm trying to do is, and that is a bit maybe already bridging into your question, I'm trying to combine two things. One is digital and digitalization, which tells us what is possible from my point of view. And in particular, in the last 2 to 3 years, mainly driven from AI and the upcoming rise of generative AI and large language models, everybody is aware what digital can tell us and what digital is able to enable us. But on the other side, we have sustainability. And that is maybe some of the topics which nobody talks about, because this is the question, which is the direction and the angle we would like to take and we need to take. And from my point of view, and this is why I founded Heartprint, we need to combine both ways, not driving two things in parallel, but combining one with the other and creating a strong force for the transformation which is necessary. So in big corporates, you mostly have a sustainability division, you have a strategy division, you have someone driving IT and digital. And my approach is to combine both things in that transformational process, because the one enables the other and the one other gives the direction for the other as well. So that is in very short and very high level explained what is behind that. And maybe just as a last sentence, Heartprint as a name already indicates that everything we do is not just pure consulting. Otherwise we would be named maybe with my last name and consulting or whatever. But it's not, because we're driving things with passion and with heart. And the heart is something, and that naming Heartprint came from a typical terminology which is used in sustainability: reduce your own footprint, increase your handprint. But both aspects are very much business style and very little humans. And whatever we do for sustainability is, and I will come to that I guess a bit later, but not for the planet, not for saving something, it's for just keeping our own safety, being humans on that planet and having a good life together with each other. And that requires passion and heart. And that's why we brought up that term footprint, handprint, and enhance it with Heartprint.
Yeah, so digitization and sustainability is not a trade-off, but more of a synergy is what you're saying.
So what does twin transformation actually mean for somebody who has never heard about it before?
A very good question, and thanks for asking that. So twin transformation, we're in the times where transformation is quite of importance. If you take AI as the starting topic, this is massively influencing the way we live and what our lives will be in the future. It does already, so there is a lot of agentics, there is a lot of things which are taken over from AI. Manual work which has been done in the past by humans is now being taken over by artificial intelligence. So that's the one driver aspect, which is transforming humans and our work and the way we live. And on the other side, we have rising temperatures. We have a global average already 1.5 degrees above the pre-industrialized times. So that leads to very high situations from temperature perspectives in certain areas. We have droughts, we have floodings, we have strong weather results, we have a massive influence to our lives as well. So again, we are in that need to transform and to adapt. So that doesn't necessarily only mean to protect nature, to be active in regard of climate, but on the other side to get resilient. And that resilience is something which ensures our survival on that planet. So whether you believe in a man-made climate change or you do not, it doesn't really matter, because on the other side, the outcome is already here. You can already see what that means for food safety, for our own living, for our own health. And that is something which we need to get resilient for. So that's the second transformation. And now the question is, how are you able to combine both things? And that already gives, I think, a very good understanding. If you do not have the ability to use that huge amount of data which exists from weather, for example. I mean, we have global weather surveillance. We have a lot of indicators and a lot of sensors which are measuring nearly every second what's the temperature, what's the humidity, what's the cloud movement, what is the temperature in the oceans. So that's all different type of aspects, which creates a hell lot of data. If you treat that manual, if you treat that on a piece of paper or with Excel, you are lost. You're not able to just act fast enough or get in any kind of a way predictive. If you treat that digital and fully automated and use AI and the capabilities of what we have here, you do have an exchange with something which gives you an opportunity to get resilient and to be prepared. The other way around is, sticking with the AI example, the upcoming amount of data centers, which is since about 1.5 to 2 years, the main drivers which is behind AI, because AI requires a lot of compute and a lot of CPUs. The data centers needs to be operated, needs to be powered with energy, and needs to be cooled down with water, and needs to be operated from human beings. And if you look at that aspect, and if you don't treat sustainability as the main aspect here as well, then we even speed up climate crisis, because the energy currently in a lot of data centers, we'll come to that I guess later, are mainly operated by gas turbines and by natural gas driven, which produces carbon emissions. And if you are in the direct surrounding for those data centers, if you take the US, for example, there was a data center recently which was completely plugged on new, which has 60 gas turbines operating and generating the energy which is required for the data centers. All the neighborhood is suffering now from the air pollution which is created by those gas turbines. So that is a direct influence then into humans, into our own lives, into environmental aspects. So therefore, sustainability needs to be the driving force for the digital part as well. And that is a bit of, just with one example, that combination, that bridge between digital and sustainable at the same time. The compass is sustainability. This is indicating where to drive things. And digital AI is the fundament and the enabler underneath.
Right. So just like how we talk about our show, no one talks about this. Maybe it's a knowledge gap of people who don't react to this, or maybe people doesn't know what's the consequences of coming off these kind of things. So especially in India where we live, we never saw any kind of talks or discussions in between the whole political chaos on these kind of things as well. How is it affecting a neighborhood? What if a data center is coming there? What's going to happen? We have massive data centers over here as well, from Amazon, from Microsoft, and many other giants as well. So still people don't talk about it, and what is the consequences of utilizing river bodies, or maybe a small George which is coming over there which doesn't even exist anymore. So those kind of things, it's really an eye-opening thing which you told us, and we are really thankful for that as well.
Just one comment in addition, it's not the case only for India, it's the case everywhere in the world. We have the same situation everywhere. It's and again, I mean, your podcast is called What Nobody Talks About, and let me talk about it quite clear. It's the tech bros in the US, it's the guys who are driving things at the moment, who are trying to keep people uninformed about these things. Because otherwise, if more people would know about, if more people would be clear in what the outcome is. I mean, if you're already suffering, take Europe as an example. Everybody's like, well, we in Europe, we don't have issues with climate crisis. Yes, we do. We are the region which is the most affected. 1.5 degrees of global increase of temperature is already reaching 4.5 to 5 degrees here in Europe, in Munich, in the Munich surrounding. In our discussion we've had in preparation of that podcast, I just spoke about, we are now mid-July 2026, and Munich, the city where I'm living in, is shortened in water, and the water supply of the city of Munich is at risk at the moment. So there is by law and enforcement, you're not allowed to wash your car any longer. You're not allowed to water your plants anymore. You're not allowed to fill up your private pools at home. This is prohibited by law because we are shortened in water. If I now have to operate a data center here in the neighborhood of Munich, which needs a hell lot of water for cooling purposes, and we are talking about millions of gallons per day, and I mean, what's then the consequence? Who is then the one getting that water supplied? Is it the human beings for drinking purposes, for personal hygiene, or is it the data center for operating AI? If that would be known by more persons in the world, I am pretty sure there would be maybe a different perspective on what that tech bros are doing. And so therefore, I just want to be very clear. This is nothing which is only a topic which is not known in India. It's known nearly everywhere. And this is something which we need to talk about. And so therefore, I'm very pleased to be part of that podcast.
Rainer, when we come to the global ESG reality, so what's actually happening right now, I wanted to talk about the global regulatory picture because it's chaotic. So you have the EU CSRD getting delayed, the US SEC, completely retiring altogether on the disclosure parts. Countries like, Japan and Singapore moving forward from a corporate technology leader's chair. So what does this fragmentation mean for a global brand trying to comply?
It's a very good question. And indeed, whenever you thought there is maybe some clarity, even for us in Europe, there was for a long time the so-called CSRD, Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive, and that was, at least for about 2.5 to 3 years, meant as a standard European-wide for all companies, for all structures from a certain threshold on, from a certain amount of employees on. And now Omnibus came, and Omnibus just ran over it and destroyed everything which has been there. So we are back to that insecurity and that fragmentation, what you already said. And if you now take things global, and we always need to understand, carbon emissions, climate crisis is something which doesn't stop at borders of countries. I mean, it doesn't matter where the emissions are created. It doesn't matter where there is a country maybe more regulated than the other. We are all in this together. We need to drive things together. Otherwise, we won't succeed. And that fragmentation, what you mentioned, is something which I think we have to get familiar with and we need to accept. And by the way, that fragmentation is something which we already have in certain other surroundings as well. If you go to financials, I mean, we don't have all the same money. We don't have all the same tax regulations. We don't have all the same income and outgoing border regulations. And we treat things like, I don't know, hundreds of years, like, well, this is okay. We adapted to that and we found mechanisms to treat things in that way and even accept that fragmentation and maybe take even the advantages out of. The same thing here is we need to find ways to treat that different type of standards, but still have a common goal which we are fighting towards together. And what I would like to just enhance is the typical behavior of a lot of corporates, if you go to the smaller ones at least, is to just pull the hands off to say, well, as long as it's not standardized and as long as it's not been driven in the same way, I don't do anything. And in all honesty, it's not the perfect idea in doing that. The winners will, from my point of view, those who don't wait for a global standard, which most likely never will be, but the ones who are already starting and getting active and driving things and build maybe a trusted data foundation, which brings it back to IT. Because it all comes together in the source of data and the treatment of data. And it doesn't matter what kind of a regulatory, how it's being named, what kind of real numbers need to be provided. The reporting itself, and that's what I always try to convince people, is just the side product. The main aspect is to create transparency and to become resilient with your own business. And the resilience is something which is completely independent where you are driving things. If you're shortened in I don't know, materials, if you're shortened or depending in your supply chain from maybe areas like the Strait of Hormuz, for example, now in the Middle East, if you do have a dependency on oil, which needs to be provided from the Eastern world, and now the ships are not going through, your business is at risk. So, I mean, that resilience and that understanding doesn't come from the regulatory and doesn't come from a specific definition you need to fulfill. It does come just simply plain from the understanding of data which is underneath.
The companies celebrating CSRD, basically the delay of CSRD, are the same ones who will be paying a premium to catch up in 2027 maybe, or 28. Is what I feel. So what do you want to add on that?
Yeah, and the good thing is I do have now, since I left the corporate world and started my own business, I do have a lot of small, medium-sized companies which I am supporting and working together with, which was one of the main targets. Because taking that a bit of Robin Hood factor, taking it from the large and giving it to the small, and that is exactly happening now. And the fun thing is, even if you are not affected from a regulatory framework like CSRD or anything else, there is, and that's the good thing about the European Commission, they brought up VSME, which is the voluntary small medium-sized enterprise version of CSRD. Very tiny, very compact, doesn't require a lot of time, but helps you to still fulfill a standard if you are, and that's exactly the main aspect here. So the market regulates things if you're working together with a big corporate. So take my former employer, Allianz. All the suppliers working together with Allianz need to fulfill the same regulatories than the large ones because they are suppliers from the big. If I'm now in a big corporate, and this is a bit very specific terminology, so if you're listening now and are familiar with scope 1, 2, or 3, very good hint, Google it and search for it. It's a very good explanation of what things are. In very short, scope 1 and 2 is the emissions which are caused in your own surrounding and which you have in your own hands in your own company. Scope 3 means everything which comes from the supply and what your products are then causing afterwards, so upstream and downstream. And scope 3 is something which a big corporate needs to report on. And this is 90% of the emissions. Scope 1 and 2 only means normally less than 10%. So if I, as a big corporate, have to report my scope 3 emissions, well, what is the consequence? I ask all my suppliers to report that as well. So if I'm now, like myself, a 4-people company, I'm not able to fulfill the regulatory framework of 1,200 KPIs like CSRD. But I am able to fulfill a very small compact version out of that and still are being standardized. Why should I do that? Well, I can either, with all my suppliers I'm working together with and all my companies and my customers I'm working together with, answer manually via email and try to list things up in an Excel sheet, or I just completely automate things. Back to twin transformation and that thought. If I have the data and the raw data already prepared and automate in a small type of a report which is standardized, companies and my customers don't even have to ask. They just get the data provided.
One of the flow question that I'd like to ask you, because we spoke about technology and how this goes hand in hand. So there is quite a bit of irony also happening over there, right? A hypocrisy altogether that we are facing as well as people in tech. So the automations or AI is the huge cause of what is happening right now, the carbon footprint, carbon offsetting that is happening. So if a small business like a startup needs to be compliant or be aware of it, what would be the right place to start?
Well, first of all, it's the most important to even start. I do have a lot of companies at the moment, as said, pulling their hands off and being completely overwhelmed. And in particular, it doesn't only affect the sustainability aspect, but digital as well. So in particular, small, medium-sized ones are mostly afraid of. And the second one is use AI to get those answers. I mean, this is something which most people always forget about. And the expectation is, well, I need to be an expert already in using AI. No, you don't have to. If you are not familiar with agentic AI, if you're not familiar with workflows or processes, ask for it. Simply ask AI how to be able to help. And if you use, and it doesn't matter, I'm not going to advertise any of the current models, doesn't matter if it's a Chinese or a local version, if it is from the big tech bros or anywhere else. If you just describe, and that's the second hint I would give, very concrete, very down to earth, don't start prompting with your keyboard. Don't start prompting with input in the manual way. Talk to AI. This is the most natural thing you can do, and this is the most extended version you can do. Start talking to your AI, to your large language model, describe the issue, describe the problem, what you have, which is, well, I'm working with a global customer, and that customer is a large enterprise, which requires me to provide my carbon emissions from my product which I'm using and provide repairability of my components. Do you have an idea how to automate things? Could you help me with finding a way to do so? And you'll be surprised of how precise and how good the answer will look like and how much of help this can be, even without understanding any IT topics, any AI fundamentals or whatever it requires. Don't be afraid in using it. Start talking to it in a natural way.
One more thing that we came across when we were visiting your website, we saw a small section where you mentioned the carbon footprint of your particular website. 25% of CO2. So which was very interesting to us. We tried that one out with our website to see what are the results. We tried out with different websites.
The major ones which are working in India.
Yes.
The results are really bad.
Yeah, the results are really bad. Yes. Yeah. So we'd like to know what are the factors that goes into calculating that particular result.
And that's a very, very good question and a bit deep dive into IT aspects. Websites mostly create a lot of overflow of information in regard of moving things, of videos, of huge large pictures. And I mean, if you just take the example of a picture, and that is something which maybe even people without IT understanding out there are able to grab. If you take a picture with your smartphone, which is maybe a 2026 smartphone version, it comes up with 6.5 to 7 megabytes per picture. And then if you put that on your website, you reduce the sizing, you maybe cut things off, but you still keep the original frame and the original format of that picture, which still is 6.5 megabytes, even if it's just very light, little tiny, maybe in the corner. And that is maybe with 2 clicks something you're able to reduce and to minimize and to cut off things. By the way, it works the same for PowerPoint presentations. If you do the next time your slides, if you use Office 365 on the upper right hand corner, if you click to the help section and click just to compromise picture, which is already a standard setting, you can just shrink things down and reduce the size of your PowerPoint by 50% or even more. And now the thing comes, is that something which is important for sustainability? Well, yes, it is, because the smarter and the smaller that website is, the less energy is being consumed while it's being shown. But this is, I mean, based on the carbon emissions we have in the world in global average, this is just very, very, very little. I mean, even if all the websites in the world would maybe reduce their footprint, we could probably save 1% or less from our carbon emissions. But it's about awareness. And the awareness comes with, and this is why this is on my website, just to make people aware. And I'm really happy that you just recognized it and you came to that question. Well, what does that look for my own website? And check that out. This is for free, doesn't cost you a thing, and gives you a very good understanding.
Yes.
And the fun fact is, if you now speak to website programmers, if you talk to coders, if you talk to people who are in that business, they would already say and reply directly, well, that's a good thing. If the website is small, if the website doesn't contain that many data, it's faster to be open. And that is something which you want to have for maybe your customers. The more data needs to be loaded, the more data it's, maybe if you're traveling, if you're using websites on your smartphone, what a lot of people do for research, you don't want to have it large. You don't want to have it waiting for, 30 minutes for getting everything open. You would like to have that quick. So that makes it an advantage as well. It's a big thing to reduce the size, and it increases usability, increases the speed of opening things up. So that is helping everything.
Stay tuned for the next episode where we continue this conversation.